Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak to you about something we all face in life: shadows, stumbling and stabilizing. We all know that life isn't always clear. Sometimes the path ahead seems unclear, and we are forced to walk through shadows. You see, shadows only exist where light is present. You've got to understand this. Even in your darkest moments, there is always a light that's nearby. Shadows are not a sign of the absence of light. They are a sign that light is close by, and maybe you're just standing in the wrong place to see it. I want you to realize today that you may be walking through shadows right now, but those shadows do not have the power to hold you back. They are temporary. Light is coming, and when it breaks through, it will reveal the path you were meant to walk on. Now let's talk about stumbling. How many of you have stumbled in your life? Don't act like you haven't. We all have moments where we trip, where we fall, where we miss the mark. And I know it feels like failure when we fall, but I want to remind you of something. Stumbling is a sign that you are moving forward. You see, if you were standing still, you wouldn't stumble at all. The fact that you tripped means you're making progress, even if you don't always see it. Life is full of bumps, bruises, and challenges, but they don't define you. What matters is how you get back up, how you keep moving, and how you trust that each stumble is just part of your journey. But here's where we need to focus: stabilizing. You've been through the shadows, you've stumbled, and now it's time to stabilize. You can't stay on the ground. You can't let your stumble define your story. Stabilizing doesn't mean standing still. It means standing strong. You've got to plant your feet, get grounded. There's a power in your stance when you decide to trust that God will steady your feet. You may have fallen, but you're not finished. God doesn't use perfect people. He uses people who are willing to rise up after their falls. Once you find your stability, don't just stand there. Walk in purpose. Walk with authority. Walk like you know that the same God who helped you stand up is going to walk with you every step of the way. When you stabilize, you find a strength that you never knew you had. You've been through the fire, and now you're walking through the storm with a new kind of confidence. You are no longer afraid of the shadows or the stumble. You've learned that the only way forward is through them, and you are stronger because of it. So wherever you are right now, whether you're walking in shadows or feeling the effects of a stumble, I want you to know this: it's not the shadow that matters, it's the light you're moving toward. It's not the stumble that defines you, it's the strength you find after you fall. And when you stabilize, don't just stand there. Walk in your purpose. Keep moving, keep believing, keep stabilizing. Your best days are still ahead. Shadows are often the first thing we encounter when life begins to challenge us. They come in many forms: fear, doubt, loss, and uncertainty. But one thing is certain: shadows do not last forever. In fact, they only exist because light is present. Think about it. Without light, there would be no shadow. So while shadows can feel heavy and overwhelming, they are also proof that light is near, just waiting to break through. The darkness might seem all-consuming in the moment, but if you could just hold on, you'd soon find that the light was always close. Shadows do not define you. They are merely a temporary obstacle, a place where light has not fully reached yet. It is easy to get lost in the shadow, to believe that it is the final destination. But I want to remind you that the shadow is just part of the journey. The key is to remember that light is always near, and it will find its way through the cracks, lifting the shadow and revealing the path ahead. It's in those shadowed moments that we often grow the most, even though it doesn't feel that way at first. The shadow is a place where we learn to trust, where we find our true resilience. The deeper the shadow, the brighter the light that will follow. You may be in a shadow right now, facing something you never expected, but understand this, you are not meant to stay in the dark. The light will come and it will shine brighter than you ever imagined. So don't fear the shadow, embrace it as a sign that light is getting closer. Stumbling is something everyone experiences. It's an inevitable part of life. You might be walking along thinking everything is going smoothly, and then suddenly something trips you up. It could be a misstep in your personal life, a mistake at work, or a decision you wish you could take back. The pain of stumbling can feel humiliating, frustrating, and discouraging. But what if I told you that stumbling is actually a sign that you're still moving? When you stumble, you are not stationary, you are in motion. And movement is what keeps us alive, keeps us growing. The fall is not the failure. The failure is when we stop trying. We often look at our stumbles as setbacks, moments of weakness, but they are also stepping stones. Every time you stumble, you learn something new. You learn where you need to pay attention, where you need to adjust your footing, and where you need to make changes in your life. Stumbling gives us insight into areas that need to be refined. It teaches us patience, humility, and perseverance. It shows us that growth is not always a straight line, but often a winding road with bumps along the way. It is through the stumble that we discover our true strength. When you fall, it's not a reflection of who you are. It's simply a reflection of the fact that you're on a journey. And every journey has its moments of difficulty. It's moments where we lose our footing or question our path. But the key is that you get back up. Your stumble is not your story. It's just a chapter. And chapters change. What truly matters is how you rise after the stumble, how you find the strength to keep going even when it feels easier to give up. Keep moving forward, because your stumbles do not define you. They are simply part of the process, part of the growth, and part of the bigger picture that is unfolding in your life. God does not waste a single moment of our struggles. When life becomes overwhelming and the weight of the world seems to be bearing down on us, we often wonder why we are facing such difficulties. Why must we endure pain, failure, and hardship? What we may fail to realize is that God uses these very struggles to refine us. The challenges you face, the things that make you feel like you're at the end of your rope, are not signs that God has abandoned you. They are opportunities for growth. Through each difficulty, God is shaping you, preparing you for something greater. It's often in the hardest moments that our character is tested and strengthened. Think about gold. It doesn't become pure without being placed in the fire. It's the heat that burns away the impurities, and what remains is something more valuable. Similarly, your struggles serve a purpose. They are refining your spirit. It is through the pain that you learn how strong you really are. Without the struggle, you wouldn't know the depth of your strength, the capacity of your faith, or the power of your perseverance. God never allows a storm in our lives that does not have a purpose. The challenges you face right now, though they may seem insurmountable, are part of a divine plan that is working behind the scenes. You might not see it today, but the struggle is preparing you for a new level. You are being shaped, molded, and refined into the person you need to be in order to handle the blessings and responsibilities that are ahead of you. The difficulties you are facing are the very tools God is using to equip you for something greater. Don't waste the lesson in the hardship. Let it shape you, build you, and push you toward a future that is brighter than you can imagine. And when you come out of the storm, you won't just be standing, you'll be stronger. God doesn't waste your pain. He uses it to transform you, to prepare you for the next chapter of your journey, one that you can face with confidence because of everything you've overcome. Remember that each struggle has a purpose, and in the end, you will emerge more powerful, more resilient, and more aligned with the purpose that God has for your life. Stabilizing in life requires more than just physical strength. It requires emotional, mental, and spiritual endurance. It's easy to feel unsteady when everything around you seems chaotic, or when the weight of your struggles feels too much to bear. But stability isn't something that can be achieved on your own. It comes from surrendering to something greater than yourself. True stability comes when we place our trust in God, knowing that His wisdom is far beyond our understanding, His strength far greater than our own. The act of surrender is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful choice to align ourselves with His purpose and plan for our lives. In moments when we are shaken, the only way to truly stabilize is to ground ourselves in something unshakable, our faith. Life's storms may batter us, but faith is the anchor that holds us steady in the face of adversity. When everything else seems to be falling apart, faith is the thing that keeps us rooted. It gives us the strength to stand tall when we feel like we're about to break, the courage to keep going when we want to quit, and the hope to see beyond the present pain to a future that is full of possibility. Stability is not about having everything in perfect order. It's about standing firm in the assurance that no matter how difficult life gets, you will not be moved. Your foundation is solid, and that foundation is built on trust in God's timing, His provision, and His plan. Stabilizing also requires inner strength, the ability to quiet the chaos around you and find peace within. This is not about ignoring the challenges or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It's about finding a sense of calm in the storm, knowing that the storm does not define you. True strength comes when we choose to rise above our circumstances, to see the bigger picture, and to trust that God's power is greater than the trials we face. This kind of stability doesn't come from trying to control everything or fix every problem on our own. It comes from surrendering to God's will, from trusting that He is in control even when we can't see the way forward. Finally, stabilizing means walking in the confidence of who you are and whose you are. When you find stability in God, you find your true identity, your true strength. It is in those moments of peace, those moments of surrender, that you begin to see yourself as God sees you. Not as a victim of circumstances, but as a child of the King, equipped with everything you need to stand firm. So when life gets tough and you feel like you might fall, remember that your stability comes from a place of faith, surrender, and strength beyond your own. And when you stand firm, you are not standing alone. God's presence will steady you, and His power will carry you through to a place of greater peace and greater purpose. Your stumble is not the end of your story. It's simply a part of it. Too many times we allow a single mistake or a single failure to define who we are, to convince us that we're not worthy of success or that we'll never get back on track. But that's a lie. Your stumble is not your stopping point. It is a lesson on the way to your... What matters is not how many times you've fallen, but how many times you've chosen to get back up. Every time you rise after a fall, you get a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more equipped to face the next challenge. In fact, your greatest potential often rises from your greatest struggles. Think about the times in your life when you faced adversity and wondered how you would make it through. Yet somehow you made it. You learned something along the way that changed you, refined you, and gave you the strength to keep pushing forward. Your stumble didn't stop you, it built you. You've got to remember that a stumble is not a permanent condition. It is a temporary setback on a long journey. You are not defined by the fall, but by the rise. Every time you pick yourself up, you are declaring that your destiny is greater than the difficulty. Sometimes we focus so much on where we've fallen that we forget to look at where we are going. We get stuck in the past, replaying the moment of failure. But what you've got to understand is that the past is not your future. God's plan for your life is bigger than one mistake, bigger than one failure, bigger than any moment where you've stumbled. Your future is not limited by your past. It is only defined by the choices you make in the present. Every step forward, no matter how small, takes you closer to who you are meant to be. It's important to realize that every person who has ever accomplished anything of significance has faced moments of failure. Every great leader, every inventor, every pioneer has stumbled along the way. But what sets them apart is that they didn't let the stumble stop them. They didn't let a moment of weakness determine their worth. You are no different. Your stumble is not a sign that you're unworthy of success. It's a sign that you're on the right path, that you're trying, that you're learning, and that you're moving forward. You are being refined through the process. So when you find yourself on the ground, don't let it define you. Use it as a reminder that you are a work in progress. And progress always involves movement, even if it's messy or imperfect. You are not where you started, and you will not stay where you fell. Your stumble is just a chapter in your story, not the conclusion. Keep going, keep growing, and keep trusting that every step forward is one step closer to the person you are destined to be. When you finally find stability, don't just stand there, move forward. Stability is not meant to be a resting place. It's meant to be a launching pad for what's next. Once you've found your footing, once you've steadied your heart and mind, it's time to take action. Stand tall, not with hesitation or fear, but with confidence and purpose. You've been through the storm, you've faced the shadows, you've stumbled and gotten back up, and now it's time to walk in your purpose. Too often, people become comfortable in their stable place and forget that stagnation is the foundation for movement, not stagnation. Once you're anchored in faith, grounded in purpose, and solid in your identity, there's a whole new level waiting for you. The stability you've gained is not just for your own peace of mind. It's for you to take that peace, that strength, and move boldly forward into the next phase of your journey. Don't wait for everything to be perfect, because perfection is not the point. Progress is the point. When you stabilize, you gain the courage to walk through doors that might have previously seemed too intimidating. You gain the strength to pursue dreams that once felt out of reach. The person you are now, stronger, wiser, more resilient, has the ability to walk with authority and confidence. Your past stumbles do not disqualify you from greatness. They prepare you for it. And when you step forward, you're not just walking aimlessly, you're walking with purpose, knowing that every step is leading you towards something greater, toward your calling, toward the fulfillment of the purpose that has been placed within you. This is the moment to rise up and take your place. Your stability isn't just about standing tall. It's about moving boldly into what God has prepared for you. You have the strength, the wisdom, and the experience now to navigate what's ahead. No fear can hold you back. You are no longer a slave to your past. You are a warrior walking in the promise of a future that is already secured. And as you walk forward, know that you're not walking alone. God's presence goes with you, and His favor will surround you. So don't just stand there and bask in your stability. Take that stability and move forward with power, with confidence, and with purpose. The world is waiting for you to step into all that you are meant to be. The journey isn't over, it's just beginning. And now you are equipped to walk with assurance, knowing that the best is yet to come. keep moving, keep believing. Your destiny is calling, and you are ready to answer. In conclusion, I want you to remember this. The shadows, the stumbling, and the stabilizing are all part of your journey. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome, and every step you take brings you closer to the person you are meant to be. The shadows may seem overwhelming, but they only exist because light is near. The stumble you encountered was not your failure. It was a sign that you are moving forward. Stability doesn't come from standing still, but from standing strong and continuing to move with purpose, even when the path seems uncertain. You are not defined by your stumbles, your struggles, or the seasons of darkness. You are defined by your resilience, your faith, and your unwavering belief that the best is yet to come. As you stabilize, remember that you are not meant to stay in one place. You are meant to rise, walk with confidence, and step into the greatness that is ahead of you. Your purpose is waiting for you, and you are ready to answer that call. So keep moving forward, stand tall, walk in faith. Know that every setback is setting you up for a comeback. Your best days are not behind you. They are ahead of you, and you are more than capable of walking into them with strength, wisdom, and a heart full of purpose. Keep going, because your destiny is unfolding, and you are exactly where you need to be. Thank you.